Hello and welcome. My name is Mitch Sanders. I'm chair of the Wound Healing Society Communications Committee, actually past chair. Kyle Quinn and Lindsay Poland are now the new co-chairs. Today I have the honor of having Ahmed Zobi, who's the CEO of a really cool company called Syntr. Syntr Health Technologies, is that correct?
Yep, Syntr Health Technologies.
Wonderful. And we're honoring him. This is part of the podcast series to honor past meeting awardees. And Ahmed got the Industrial Research and Development Poster Award. And Ahmed, why don't we start with your entrepreneurial journey, because it's been very, very exciting. I saw a little blurb of you in Forbes this year. I've kind of been following you for many years. So please tell us more about yourself, how you started with the invention, and where you are today.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate being on here, and I appreciate, the honor of being able to win the award and being given that opportunity to even submit. Not a lot of organizations really look into the industrial side of research and stuff. They're all, mostly focused on academia. So seeing the Wound Healing Society do something like this kind of gave me that inspiration of being able to put up what our company is doing, show the world, get some foot traffic and eyes looking at us. So the way I started this whole thing is, wow, this has been 7-ish years almost now. So my team and I started as a undergraduate team at UC Irvine. Our senior design class, or our capstone project, was to take this patent that's been collecting dust on the shelf and kind of breathe new life into it. But my background in micro and nanotechnology, I was like, I don't like dealing with microfluidics. I don't like dealing with lab-on-chip microfluidics. I want an automated version. So we worked together as a team, and we created kind of a blend of two different technologies, CD microfluidics and lab-on-chip, and kind of merged them together to where we can, have a beautiful lab-on-chip microfluidic system that rotates on top of a CD. And that way you automate the process, you control, you are able to reproduce and repeat that data. That's something that a lot of researchers want. They want reproducible data. They want repeatable data. Well, we developed that device. And as undergrads, so this is undergraduate, not grad. We're not masters. We're not PhDs. We're undergrads. And, we had this passion to start a business. We graduated in 2016. We formed our company, Syntr Health, and we won $14,000 of seed funding from the university, and it was in a partnership with the Economic Development Agency. And we started hitting the ground running on applying for Phase 1 SBIRs. We were grateful. We got awarded a year later. Being a young entrepreneur and a young CEO doesn't really help out with the NIH and being able to show them that you can really do it. But we pushed through, and we got it. It was a Phase 1 for $300,000. We, tested out our device, which, by the way, as people probably don't know this, our device is able to process human fat tissue and break it down into smaller pieces so that you can easily re-inject it back into, let's say, a diabetic ulcer underneath, and replenish and supplement the lost fat pad that's in the foot and aid in that healing process. So in the mouse studies, that's what we did on our Phase 1. Then we started raising capital. Yeah, back in 2019, we wanted to raise a lot more, but we got lean and mean. Actually, they say lean startup methodology. I call it a leaner startup methodology. So we raised a total of $2.4 million over the course of almost 3 years, basically raising what we needed in that time and instance. And I'm happy to say that in last year, we were awarded FDA clearance for our product, and now we're cleared in almost 12 surgical specialties, ranging from orthopedic down to plastic and reconstructive surgery when aesthetic body contouring is desired. Basically, if you want to harvest, transfer, and concentrate fat, you can use our product to do so. And now we're working backwards, gathering the clinical data so that we can go back to the FDA and kind of, whether it's expand on our current FDA clearances or submit, a PMA or a 510K de novo, whatever it might be. But yeah, so part of the industrial award that we submitted was our first human data samples that we started getting from our clinical trial. We've seen amazing results thus far. In total, we've treated 6 patients in our group and 6 patients in the standard of care, and we're averaging about 3 to 4 weeks course of treatment with a one-time injectable fat tissue solution versus standard of care, which is offloading and padding and probably some form of a collagen matrix on top of the wound. So really awesome results thus far, and we're hoping to keep pushing that forward.
So you get the autologous fat from the patient.
Yep.
When you put in the chip and you concentrate the stem cells, you're getting what, 10 to the 4th, 10 to the 10 cells? How much cells? How much material do you put in? What do you get out at the end for injection?
So that's a very good question. So I want to make it 100% clear. We're not isolating stem cells. We're not taking out the stem cells from the fat tissue. So we fall under what's called minimal manipulation. So all we're doing is sizing the fat cells down. But obviously, we have to do cell counts and et cetera. We're seeing, I believe, I would have to look at the data, but don't quote me on this. I think 10 to the 6 on the cell counts. Nucleated cell viability, we're looking at an average right now. Our average is a bit higher than what we originally submitted to the FDA because we've been gathering more data since. We're averaging close to like 93, 94% viable cells. So, we're hitting, I would say, in a 50 cc to 100, let's say 50 cc, probably close to 100 million cells, if not more, probably even closer to 200 million cells.
And so then one of the question is, when you deliver this, how do you get reimbursed for this? Is there going to be a product code? Is it you're going to have a disposable and the device? How do you sell the device, and how does it work economically?
So that's a very good question. So early on in our careers, back in 2016, we had to go through the NSF I-Core program, which is basically a customer discovery program that really puts you out there without having to talk about your product, which for a lot of academicians and clinicians, it's harder. It's like, I want to tell them about my product. Well, as an entrepreneur like myself, it's very easy to kind of dissociate yourself and really try to go and find the answers that you want, right? So when we went through the I-Core program, we asked a couple of hospitals, we asked a couple of podiatry clinics. A lot of them stated that for the capital equipment costs, they already have a budget for capital equipment, right? So that, and most likely what we're going to end up doing is we're going to give away it for free, the big machine. Where we make our money is off of the consumables, right? So this is a disposable consumable. Right now, we're working on a breakthrough device designation with the FDA on our product for the treatment of diabetic foot ulcers. With that, it allows us to expedite our approval processes through CMS. Now, before it was a straight blank check on full reimbursement. Unfortunately, that's not what it is now, but there's still a lot of the guidelines within CMS that are checked off by getting that breakthrough designation. For instance, actually, we do not need to do clinical trials to validate that our device, works and is efficacious and whatever, but we have some other things that we have to show. Now, obviously, in the market and what we're doing as research scientists and engineers, we have to do clinical trials, we have to validate, we have to get that data. But for the sake of breakthrough in CMS, that checkbox is gone for having to provide said data to CMS. So there are reimbursement codes out there. We are working with regulators regarding CMS and reimbursement on how can we apply those codes to us. There's a code out there that covers the reimplantation, the reinjection of fat tissue into the foot. So we can cover these materials under certain codes, and then whatever is left over, the doctors can pocket as their fees and their stuff as well. So there's a lot of things that we're looking into. We're trying to, from start to finish, right? The debridement, the padding, the offloading, the injection of the fat, the cam boot, all of that. We want to really combine all these codes and really make an easy, digestible code for the clinicians, the doctors, and the facilities, so that they're not, running around like chickens without their heads, and making it easier for them, right? You want to make this as simple for them as possible, because that's how you get market adoption as well.
And are you going to have your own reps, or are you going to hire 1099s? How's that going to work?
So right now, because we're still in the development phase and validation phase, we're most likely going to offload that to independent reps and just have it being sold that way. Actually, we on top of that, we just received our federal supply schedule. so we could start selling to the VA, the DoD, Native American communities as well with regards to the treatment. Again, it's very general, orthopedic down to plastic, but one of our indications is also general surgery. So we can sell in the general surgery space. It's just hard. We're kind of bound by what we can say, right? So eventually that's the goal of the breakthrough status, and that's the goal of the clinical trials and the publications and the future FDA approvals or expansions of our current indication, is so that we can go out and say, hey, originally we were for, general surgery. Now we're for general surgery when it comes to the treatment of diabetic foot ulcers based on this clinical trial data, right? And I think that's what's going to be that next step to really help us sell and tell our doctors and tell our VA partners how to use our device, what the intended outcomes might potentially be. But a lot of them are smart. They know about these, what's going on. There's a lot of, again, players in the field, but no one has really automated that fat processing other than us. So they can kind of infer and look to published research and see what the value potentially is for them. Again, it's just for us. We can't make these claims now.
For other people's benefit, the current processes are very labor intensive and take weeks to, and pretty expensive as well. There's
exactly
10 minutes. One of the questions I had from a kind of go-to-market strategy, once you've kind of proved out the market, which I think is already pretty obvious to many people that follow stem cells, especially lipid stem cells. And what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be acquired by a bigger company? When is the right time to start doing that dance?
So right now, when I started this company with my co-founders, I told them my goal was to treat and save the life of at least one person. That was literally my goal back in 2015. And I am happy to say and excited to say that one of the patients that we treated, our very first patient, she has had no reoccurrence of her ulcer for almost 9 months now. And she was healed within 3 weeks. 80-year-old lady, sweetest lady you could ever possibly meet. And she's ecstatic because this is something that has been a pain in her foot, literally, for a long time. And she had another ulcer on another foot. We re-randomized her. We got lucky. We got her into our arm again, and we treated her other ulcer within 6 days. Complete wound closure, using this one-time fat injection. And to this date, we have not heard back about whether it's reoccurred, but this is the opportunity that we're giving these patients is basically a second chance at life. You know what I mean? So for me, I've met my first goal. The second goal that I've set up for myself is to try to grow the company as large as possible. This is the Wound Healing Society, but we were also doing aesthetics clinical trials. We're about to start a knee osteoarthritis clinical trial and a Crohn's periannual fistula study as well. So we really truly developed a platform technology here that not only encompasses diabetic wound care, but has the opportunity to touch upon almost multiple types of medical ailments that a person that goes through their life as they age. So for me right now, the next step is grow it and hopefully, go down the acquisition pathway or potential IPO and see where this company takes us. But for me, I think we're building value and we're really growing, and now it's the time to get serious and get the data that we need.
I know that David Armstrong talks about recurrence a lot and talks about how you should think of recurrence as kind of almost like cancer, remission in cancer. It's always the possibility of having a recurrence is very high. But the point that I'd like to make is when we look at the healed tissue after using, fat cells or placental-derived tissue that's really properly processed, we see beautiful tissue at the end, even after just healing, that is so much stronger than, a basic wound covering. A lot of things can heal a wound, but they don't prevent reoccurrence. I think a lot of these really good therapies are going to prevent recurrence.
Exactly. And we're working with Dr. Armstrong right now. He's the PI on our project right now. And that's really it. So like in our phase 1 SBIR with the animal study, yeah, we compared it to regular SVF as a control, and what we saw is you're right, the skin layer is a little bit tough, but underneath it is completely empty, right? So what happens is that wound will come back again. Whereas the ones that we got injected with fat tissue, we saw a really nice dermal thickness form and a really nice wound plug around and inside those wounds, right? So, and that's what I believe we're seeing in the human studies. And you're right, Dr. Armstrong really likes to quote ulcer-free days. So, for that patient, she's had almost, almost 9 months of ulcer-free days, and we're happy for that because that's the future, right? Like you're right, skin substitutes or other types of solutions that close the wound on the surface really don't do much to combat the underlying issue, and that's the fat pad migrates, and there's nothing there, and lack of circulation to the foot. So where we see ourselves really fitting in and adding that value, and to quote the FDA, that breakthrough status, is that we're targeting the problem at its source. We're replenishing the fat pad, we're healing these wounds quicker, and we're moving forward. And eventually the goal would be is that this would be like a normal checkup for a patient that's within the certain age group that they got to get their hearts checked almost twice a year. We do the same thing for diabetic patients with their podiatrist. Hey, I'm worried. It feels really thin right here. I think you should go get pre-injected with fat tissue to prevent an ulcer from happening in the first place. That's where we're shifting into, is that whole preventative medicine. Yes, Medicare, Medicaid needs to catch up with preventative medicine, but I think as we work together with the breakthrough status and we start talking with Medicare, more often in the year, because that's what breakthrough gives for us, is I think we get like 2 to 3 meetings a year with Medicare, is that we can kind of push and work out and show them those modelings, and we can create clinical trials based on those modelings. What is the cost? What is the prevention model? What is it, how much does it prevent? And if the cost makes sense to Medicare, then there's no reason why they wouldn't, invest in it and actually refund it.
So Ahmed, I have to commend you. I think it's just a tremendous story.
Thank you.
And keep following you. And if I or Alere Health can ever help you on market access or strategy or whatever you want to talk to the big boys about seeing when you're ready to sell, we'd love to represent you. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's great to see you again. Look forward to future success, and congratulations on your WHS award.
Thank you. Likewise, and I again shout out to WHS for really pushing the needle into recognizing industrial research, and I'm a board member on a couple of committees, and I really, this is a community that I think understands the pain point and wants to produce change. So I think with WHS and the rest of the members of it, I think we can really make some amazing things happen. So thank you again for the honor, and again, we're a part of the solution. We're all working together, and let's get it done.
Agreed. Great to see you.